The universe isn't just out there, it's interacting with you. Claim your power by embracing the unknown. This is Tracy with Tracy Talks, and I'm here to ignite your curiosity. Don't just listen, embrace it. I've been going through this period of my life, and it has put the brakes on. I don't feel like I've been able to move forward in ways that I want. I don't always feel like I have the energy to follow through with things. There are still times where I have moments of energy where I can start a new project, but then the energy seems to fade away and fall apart. In my last episode, I talked about Saturn in our relationships. I am personally going through my own Saturn transit right now. Saturn is opposing my Mars in my chart. Saturn has been doing this retrograde over these points in the chart, and they are directly impacting one of my personal planets. And when Saturn does its retrograde cycle, unless you have something that's being directly impacted, you may not feel the intensity of it. And since Mars in our chart is our energy, our drive, that motivation, the energy we need to keep things moving forward, Saturn has been opposing my natural energy source and has been doing this dance back and forth. And it's gone over these points 3 different times. And it has literally grounded me in my life. Like if I was a child, this would have been a moment where my phone was taken away, my car was taken away, I had to go to school, I maybe could go to work. Then I would be forced to seclude myself in my room with nothing fun, no conveniences. This cycle is coming to an end for me. And when I look back over these last several months and notice what I've been doing, I moved, which forced me to rearrange. It forced me to go through things. It forced me to get honest about what I need in my life, what all of these things make me feel. Do they really improve my quality of life? Or are they things from my past that I haven't been willing to let go of? There is a direct correlation with the things that we have in our house and how they relate to this emotional baggage. Some of these things I've carried along with me through multiple moves. And each move has sparked this desire in me to eliminate, clean up, reduce, reflect. Is this item really who I am? And is it contributing to this life that I really want? And I have been doing that these past few months. I have been going through all of the storage tubs. I'm looking at things with new eyes. I had some glassware and pieces that were family pieces, and it was this whole I should keep this. It meant something to a grandmother, and I'm only here because of my grandmother, and there were all of these shoulds wrapped around it. I've never used it. I'm never going to use it. I could sit it out, but then I'm just dusting it and it's taking up space, and there's already things that I like more that are out and on display. And I had to have this moment where I have to get rid of this. I cannot continue to carry all of these things around with me and have these emotions tied up. Like, I want to use my energy to create. I don't want to use my energy to manage all of this emotional baggage. Some of it is ancestral baggage. The choices that our grandparents made, whether we want to realize it or not, have influenced us, either good or bad, that we are a continuation of somebody else's choices. And part of my journey on this life has been, okay, how do I end some of these? How do I end these burdens and spiritual lessons that my generations have carried forward? Not everyone has been privileged to know all of the struggles of their ancestors. Either someone kept secrets and didn't share them, or we don't know our extended, like our grandparents maybe passed on before we knew them and had a relationship with them. I was privileged to have 3 great-grandparents until around the age of 10. Most people don't have those type of relationships. They don't have those experiences. I got to see how people who created me lived and walked through the world. And then there's a lot of stories that don't get shared until after people pass. And we wonder why that happens, but in reality it makes sense because some people have made choices and they don't want to hear the judgments. They don't want to hear the accusations. They don't want people to think less of them. And so these secrets get shared after someone dies. When my grandfather passed, it would be 24 years ago. And my grandmother had passed in the early 70s when I was a small child. And I have a very few memories of her. There's only a couple where I remember being in the house with her and having her around. And so I didn't see them together. I don't have memories of my grandparents interacting or their relationship or how they treated each other. But when my grandfather passed, his sister then shared stories with my mother about how things maybe really were. There were some secrets that were shared. It was shared that my grandmother was possibly in love with someone else, but my grandfather could provide a different life. And she was with my grandfather instead of the person she loved. Knowing that now, I find it heartbreaking. I know of people, we all probably know of someone who has stayed in a relationship way past the moment it's over because of the life that we could have. The things that we can have with certain people that maybe we can't have with others. And I can draw upon my own story, and I can see parallels there of maybe when I was choosing a partner, I was looking for a life that I could have, the financial safety and security. And that was my primary goal. And when I got married, I didn't know this truth. I was already married when this story was shared to me. And when I look back, I realized that I kind of repeated the same cycle. I lived out the family karma or the family destiny, however you want to see that. A lot of us don't know that we're living in similar cycles. We're living out the same patterns of our ancestors. And I now am trying to actively choose to be uncomfortable, to put myself in situations where I don't know how they're going to turn out. I'm trying to get rid of the things that, like the physical items in my house that are subconsciously keeping me in a loop. So many of us believe that we are every moment of the day living in this free will environment, that we are actively making all of these choices with our own mind. But when I look at the similarities, like in this one example with my grandmother and then myself, it is eerily similar. And why is that? Why are these patterns here? She didn't have the opportunity to live a life beyond him. She passed. There were also stories that she was realizing that maybe she needed a different life, but didn't make it to that point. And one of my conscious goals in this lifetime is to try to break some of these cycles. How can I not just do these unconscious things and fulfill these unconscious patterns? How can I get rid of these family heirlooms that have an energy with them? And they do. They all have an energy. They carry a vibration with them. When we intentionally continue bring these things into our world, we are setting this unconscious vibration. And how can I let these things go? I've also realized that me just getting rid of everything in the moment is very traumatic. And when I look at things, I have realized that I'm doing it in layers. That I get rid of the really easy stuff that is just trash and junk and just has no value of me. And now there are things that seem more important and have more weight. I'm doing them in steps and increments, so I don't overload my system, so I don't shock myself into reverting all the way back. Take a couple of things out, and how do I feel? And I still feel fine. I feel okay. I'm still myself. And then remove a couple more things, and okay, everything is fine. My world is fine. And then remove a couple more things, and then put some things up that I really do love, that do mean something, that represent this life that I'm moving into and towards. And when I look around at the world, I can't help but see how there are still a lot of people that seem to be frightened by change, that these structures that we've had, these things around us that we have just become accustomed to having around us. And we have mixed emotions about them. We can see how they aren't maybe the best structures, but we're afraid to let them go. We're afraid to let everything fall down. Because we don't know. Maybe there's something, and our mind goes to worst case scenario. There's probably something worse out there. So let's just keep what we know here. And in my own life, I'm getting down to the bare minimum here. I was going through some pictures, and I have a small photo album from my wedding pictures. I don't want them. They don't represent this happy period of my life, and I don't know what to do with them. It feels wrong to throw them away, and I'm sure if I had another relationship right now, they would be confused, like, why do you have them? And I don't know. I have mixed emotions. I'm realizing now that this is like, these things that I have are getting down to the core of some of these wounds, traumas, whatever word you want to use. They're getting down to the core of what's really happening and going on. And as I was meditating this morning and I was reflecting on what topic I wanted to share, that photo album came back in, and it's been something that's been coming through my mind, and it just flutters in and then flutters out and flutters in, and I'm going to have to just throw them away. It is becoming so critical for me to keep my area in the same vibration that I want to be. I want to be the happiest, lightest, funnest, most playful, creative version. I want to be this version that when people come over, they're like, they can feel it. That they can feel it when they walk in my house. And that requires me getting rid of all of these items that don't match that energetic vibration. And as hard as it is with some of these things, it doesn't represent this shiny version of me. There are times where I feel the strong connection with my grandmother. The symbolism isn't lost. If we want this new earth, if we want this place where we can show up and be accepted and love is the dominant emotion, we're the ones that have to do the work. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody's going to fix everything. Like, we all have to save ourselves, and we can all start that journey by doing it in our own life. There's always going to be crap going on out in the world. There probably always has been, and there probably always will be. But when each of us are in our own home and in our own lives, showing up in our best sparkly self, it changes the world. It's not easy to change a timeline. It's not easy to change a lineage. Nobody said it was going to be fun. Nobody said it was going to be easy. I have just felt for some time that this was part of my purpose for this lifetime. This month is going to be another month where I'm just letting these last few things go and stand in the void, because there's going to be a void. There always is. And the things aren't going to come in. These wonderful things that we all want, that we all desire, they come in when they have space, when there's room. I'll probably set a fire this week and just let fire transform this energy and invite in the healing, the message, or the energy that wants to come through. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tracy Talks. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. Friends can find Tracy Talks available on iTunes, Spotify, Substack, and YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram and Facebook at More Tracy Talks. And until next time, we meet again.